Welcome back to 𝙪𝙬 Podcast. I have a treat for you today. Continuing on our health and wellness and amazing people, things that I do, I have with me today someone who is an author, international speaker, leadership consultant, strategy consultant, and also, most importantly, in my opinion, a survivor of all things, breast cancer survivor. I have with us today Mary Dee. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
How are you?
Fantastic. It is a beautiful day, and it's a beautiful day to be alive.
Amen. Absolutely. Absolutely. I am so honored to interview you because you are so important and you do so many things. You know, when it comes to women and how we trailblaze and what we do, we tend not to talk about it much, right? And we're just like, oh, it's just another day in the life.
Right.
Another day in the life. But when I became familiar with you and just reading about you, I'm like, she is awesome. So I'm not going to give you or do you any justice. Please tell everyone a little bit about you.
Absolutely. So I have been in business for a little over 20 years. I'm a business advisor. So I really help CEOs go from being jerk CEOs to being adored CEOs. That's probably my best gift, is getting in there and helping build relationships, helping build teams, and really helping with leadership. So that's my, from a business side, what I do. When it comes to the rest of me, I would say that, living a life in health and wellness and really treating yourself, making sure that you don't live a life full of stress is probably taking the forefront these days, because I am a breast cancer survivor. I had breast cancer 3 years ago, and I actually chose to do my healing more holistically. So I didn't do chemo. I didn't do radiation. I actually said, let food be my medicine, sunshine, and big fan of working through just spiritually talking to God and having that conversation, because I know that my life is really in his hands, not my own.
Absolutely. And I think it's you have a great story. And like you said, you wanted to make the CEOs not so CEO-ish and soften them. But besides all of that, you've done so much. You've been through so much. What has been your overall, what's your why? What's your motivation? What was like the moment you said, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to help people?
Yeah. I feel like the first chapter of my life, maybe, and let's call that the first 40-ish years, was definitely about my career and still being able to help people through that, right? Because when we help ourselves and we build our empires, we can help more people. Our reach can go really far. So there was definitely that element of it, but probably more of a hustle. And I can definitely look back and see just the stress. And it's like you said, we don't talk about it much. We sort of wake up and we're like, we're superwoman today. We're doing all the things. And that's just who we are. And it was really definitely a little bit of a wake-up call with getting breast cancer, because there was a time where I went for probably about 2 weeks with actually not knowing my diagnosis.
Right.
So I knew I had breast cancer, but they couldn't tell me like what stage, what grade. And that makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Big difference.
Yes. And then over here I am, looking up things on Dr. Google, not knowing that there's like thousands and thousands of kinds of different breast cancer. So it's not like breast cancer is one kind of thing or one thing in particular. So it really puts things into focus, and I would say laser focus, because now I am having to say, okay, what's really important? And that was a great reflection for me, is to say, what is super, super important? What's that thing? And for me, a big piece of that was, how do I impact the most people? And how do I put all things that feel uncomfortable, shameful, hard to discuss, how do I put those things to light, because they're going to help somebody else?
Absolutely.
And that was such a big part of it.
So can you say that, so you found out about breast cancer your diagnosis way after you were already advising and being a speaker. So that happened afterwards. And
Right.
so let me ask you, how did that change, either good, bad, your focus when it came to you're giving so much to others to help them better their viewpoint and who they are. And now there's a big bump in what you have to do,
Mhm.
and you still have to push through. How did it change your view on how you did your business going forward?
I love that question. So, how it changed things is I had this moment when I went home the day that I got my diagnosis of, hey, you have breast cancer. And I said to myself, do I hide away and get this done in the background? Do I fix myself in behind the curtain where no one can see and go about my day? Or is this an opportunity to share this experience and still share the joy of life and how we go on and how we get bad news sometimes and how we hit these bumps in the road while all these things are going on? And one piece of my story, which I will now add so that you can know just what was happening at the time, is I was also going through a lawsuit on an 8-figure business. So I was not just going through breast cancer,
Wow.
also losing an 8-figure business. And that was also very painful. So I have two big things happening at one time. And this, I definitely was like, Job, I got it. The trials of,
Uh-huh.
losing all the things. I was like,
Yeah.
what could happen? And then my dog died. So like
Oh,
literally I was living the country song, and it was the worst of the worst. And I
the worst country song in the world,
worst
right?
song in the world. Exactly.
So how did you stay motivated? I mean, okay, so you get your diagnosis, you're going through everything else. And as women, we're supposed to be strong. We're supposed to be able to carry
Right.
tons and
Mhm.
tons of weight. Did you ever just fold? And if you did, who pulled you out of it? How did you pull yourself out of it?
Yes, great question. So that moment that I was telling you when I got my diagnosis, I have all this going on. I'm going to hide away because I'm strong, right? And sometimes strong is good, but sometimes it's a mask we hide behind, and sometimes it's in our weakness that there's real strength. And for me, that was saying to myself, no, I'm not going to hide this. I'm going to talk about it because it needs to be addressed. This is a real fear people have, and my family is obviously going to go through this little ride with me. And if I am confident and if I am full of faith, then I can take a stand for my family and for me, and for saying, you know what, sometimes things are hard and sometimes things require courage. It doesn't mean they're not scary. It means we do them anyway. And that was probably one of the biggest messages, that came out of it for me. And then also being just continuing to be a rock, even though I needed support. Like I needed my family to support me. I needed my friends to support me. I needed that support during that time because it was hard. And I think that's probably one of the big ones. I definitely had my moments. I will not lie, Arlene, where I remember laying outside one day in the grass. I was literally just laying in the grass. I was looking up at the sky and it was just starting to rain.
Mm-hmm.
And I just laid there and I watched all the things fall from the trees and I watched the rain come down. And I was like, if ever a time, God, take me now, like there's definitely those moments that felt overwhelming. But
And I think it's great. Sorry to cross you. I think it's great because so many of us, when we go through things, we crawl into a hole. We think we're by ourselves.
Mhm.
We feel as if we're the only ones going through it, which is not true.
Right.
And when you do have loved ones who love you and care about you, they're also battling as well.
100%.
And the guilt of, yeah, I may not be the one diagnosed, but I'm watching you go through the sadness, the
Mhm.
treatment, the emotions, trying to
Mhm.
figure out what the next step is. And I think it's natural to say, I had a moment to pause. I had a moment of why me? And
Mhm.
I mean, you're being human, you're being a woman, that's who you are.
Yes.
But you've been consulting and advising for 20 years. You have this bump in the road. So now it's another layer to who you are, because advisory before tragedy is something totally different. And
Mhm.
after something dramatic like that and traumatic like that, it shifts you.
Absolutely.
So what made you say, I'm not going to go conventional, I'm going to go unconventional with my treatment and keep pushing through?
Mm. So one of the things that I really dug deep on is I have to only I can advocate for me. Only I know what my body is saying to me. I'm familiar enough with my body and I trust my intuition. And part of it was really leaning into that and saying, what feels good for me? Overall, I'm a very healthy 40 something year old woman.
You're
And
25, stop it.
25, that's right, 29 forever. And I knew this, like I knew that overall my body is healthy. Like it had actually encapsulated this breast cancer. And as I went through the journey, what I didn't know afterwards, which said, hey, my faith is really activated here, is that that cancer was already shrinking when they went to take it out because it was smaller. It was like less than half the size of the original sizing that they'd done on it. So in my mind, I said, this is how I feel. I feel like it's not anywhere else in my body. And I'm going to let my body do what it's supposed to do, which it knows what to do in the situation. And time and time again through this process, it's shown me that to be the truth. For example, the drugs that they wanted to give me is to pretty much start shutting down your body's ability to produce things like estrogen, because I had an estrogen positive cancer. And in that, I said, no, I'm not going to take this toxic little drug for a few years. I think my body knows what to do. And they said, well, this is to help, it's going to put you in menopause. That's what's to help, move things around. And my body did it by itself. And so I said, again, the body knows what to do. And at the end of the day, I am counting the quality of my life and knowing that the quantity is not up to me. So that's a big piece of it. And then also, Arlene, my core belief is that we are spiritual beings going through this human experience, and this is just a stop along the way. So that's a big piece of it as well. And I'm confident in that, not to glorify death, but to glorify life and say, like, this is this experience and we get to have it. So live full out, play full out.
You're there for so many people. Who do you talk to? Who do you see for your own wellness when it comes to, I just need to dump. I need to dump. I need just, who do you see someone? Do you talk to someone?
Mhm.
What do you do to kind of recharge?
I love that. So I'm a huge advocate of self-care. So I do take care of myself and I recognize those days and those things and I know what I need. I enjoy immunotherapies. I enjoy 2-hour massages. I enjoy all of those things. But besides that, it's community. Arlene, it's community 100,000%. So community with my family, community with my close girlfriends, community with even my business associates. We can have these open heart-to-heart conversations about real things. And this is real life. And if anyone has a question, obviously, I'm like an open book in that. And I sit on the chair of the board for the Breasties. And had I hidden away and gotten this all done secretly, behind the scenes and not said anything about breast cancer, I wouldn't have found this community who I end up really connecting with the leadership team there. And then they come and show up and say to me, hey, will you come be our chair of the board? No worries. And it's fantastic because this whole community of women these are young women with breast cancer. I was considered a young woman with breast cancer in my 40s. You're talking 20s, 30s. Some of them have the BRCA gene, so they are like 80% likely in their lifetime to have some sort of breast or reproductive cancer. that community has been so supportive for me. And so it is my honor to be able to give back and to help them, internally with operations and what needs to get done and leadership. But more than that, to be there to talk about the journey and talk about, yes, the breasties, talk about, who we are and what we do and support women and give them, help them understand their choices. That's such a huge part of it, because I didn't find this community until after I had breast cancer. And I would say that being able to find a community where you can talk to other people who have had surgery, we can see other people's results, where you can hear about all the options. I think that's really where the power comes in, because you're helping people know they have options. You are not limited to just what that one doctor said. Go get a second opinion, go get a third opinion. This is your livelihood and your life. Ask all the questions. Don't buy into all of the fear. And it's such a big piece of it. And I love this community. We do a lot of free events. We do a lot of virtual events. And when pre-COVID and hopefully post-COVID, we will be back to doing live events. We do camp every year. We've had 500 plus women there, and it's an amazing community. And I just can't scream and shout more about it. But it's so much support. We have a thing we do. You see the little mountains are our logo. So, and we tell people in the community, if you're having a hard day, throw up your mountains. And you'll see someone post on Facebook or Instagram, they just post their mountains, and all of a sudden messages are coming in and they're getting phone calls, they're getting DMs, because that's how we support each other. It's like, you don't have to say what it is. We're here to support you. And we know that some days are hard.
So besides that, which absolutely added you to another level of service that you provide, because pretty much you're in service to others and helping others build themselves. And now with your diagnosis and your recovery, you're now able to give back in a whole different direction. Let's talk about you, though, and what you have going on, Miss D. So you are an author. You have some books coming up this year. I want to talk about first the one you have that's called Just Eat the Cake, a recipe for living your best life. That's coming out in May of this year. Talk to me about what that is and what made you write that book.
Okay. So when my grandmother was aging and about to exit this current life, my uncle really asked her to hold on. She had surgery. She went and came out of it, wasn't supposed to, came out of it. And for the next 3 or 4 years, my uncle was trying to give her all these vitamins and trying to suddenly make her exercise. And I was like, why wouldn't you just at this point give her all the things she wants? Let her eat the cake.
Yes.
I'm just saying, let her live out her days. These are her golden years. She just survived this crazy surgery. It's not like this is going to extend life by 20 years. Let her live. Let her just really live and enjoy this. Mm-hmm. And so that is where Just Eat the Cake came from. I don't have it up for pre-sale yet. It will be up shortly. But what is up is, of course, the next book, which releases in March, which is Asian Women Who Boss Up, secrets from women who are forging their own path and thriving. And I'm super honored to be on this cover. I'm in the book. I have my own chapter. These are amazing, amazing women with also amazing stories. And I'm just excited to bring this message of hope and resilience. And I hope that everyone reading it will be empowered and know that they can go forward, and that adversity it's a bump in the road and you can get through it. And Just Eat the Cake has a lot of those principles and frameworks as well. It's really about living your best life, Arlene. It's about not sweating the small stuff. It's about just doing the things that fuel you. I think sometimes we wear that hat of, I've got to make all these sacrifices. And certainly we do along the way, but there's so much joy to be had in gratitude. There's so much joy to be had in good habits. There's so much joy to be had in really just experiencing life and saying, you know what, there's that thing I want to do. It's like, if you're scared of karaoke, it's like, you don't have to be scared of karaoke. People do it all the time badly.
all the
Just
time.
go up
All
there
the
and
time.
go for it. Have the fun, grab the mic, use your voice, whatever that is, and whatever that is. And that's probably one of the biggest messages as well is use your voice. Our voice is meant to be used in this world, and everyone's got a message inside them. And if you feel that pull, like, go for it. Just go for it.
I love the fact that you have both of these coming out this year. The Women Who Boss Up book is coming out in March of 2021 of this year. Okay, we're in 2021, Arlene. Coming out in March. And then your book is coming out in May. So you have a lot going on the first 6 months of this year. I love when you're talking about just eat the cake. My mom passed away in 2014. And so before that, when our parents get older, we get older, we require different type of medical care, checking up on ourselves a little bit more often. And so what's so funny is she had restricted herself on a lot of things, had her gallbladder removed one year, couldn't eat dairy like she loved, like cheese and ice cream was her life, right? And so I remember listening to you talk and listening to the title of the book. Up until before she passed away, about a month or two, it was like, go buy me some ice cream. I'm like, Mama, no, I want ice cream and some sock-it-to-me cake. Go. I want it now. Hey, make me a big old baked macaroni. I'm like, Mommy, that's what I want. And so I was like, okay. And then my sister used to have the mindset of, let her buy what she wants to buy. Let her do what she wants to do. I said, you're right, because I didn't want her to feel as if guilty. I said, let our parents do what they've earned the right to do what they want to do. And I said, you're absolutely correct. So she wanted to eat all the pecan ice cream, the macaroni. I mean, it was all the cake. She'd buy stuff. I'm like, as long as you like it, I love it. So I truly believe, like you said, at some point, we restrict ourselves so much now in the world for the sake of health and wellness. You can't have this, you can't have that. But we also have to treat ourselves because life, as we know from 2020, is short.
That's right.
Life is not guaranteed.
That's
so
right.
actually live life to the fullest of what the fullest looks like to you. And also know how to have those type of restrictions and have your barriers and have your control. Like, okay, let me not go crazy, but also enjoy yourself. So with all of that, what do you have upcoming for you? What's going on for you?
Well, we've got a summit coming up that will precede the book. So that will happen. We're actually working through the dates right now. That'll be in late February or early March. I think March 19th is the target weekend, but we'll land on that. I'll definitely post that up into the to the page. But other than that, excited. I'm actually planning on doing a couple retreats this year. We'll do them safely. We'll do some small groups. Excited about bringing that back. I have some people that definitely want to get together and are ready. I am excited to support my business owner friends this year in really helping them with their leadership and their teams. Everything's changed so much. Everything's gone very virtual. And a lot of people are having a tough time navigating the virtual space. A lot of times people have trouble navigating the right teams and also where to put people. Sometimes we hire cousin Joe because he was available and he was technical and he could come in and do some things, but he's doing customer service and he really shouldn't be doing customer service. So there's those things that happen. And so I'm like a good chess master. I can look at all the pieces and see where they need to go and what pieces fit where. And that's really part of my gift is helping people put folks in the right place, finding them if they don't have them, and then helping them from a strategy and planning and execution standpoint.
So what would you say would be the hardest thing for you last year with your business, with consulting and advising, getting your people over that hump? Because, as much as we've gotten used to virtual, it's great. It's not the same as that type of, let me get your interaction. Let me work the crowd. Let me talk to you. Let me do this. So how has it been for you? You have the tools, you know how to present it, you know what to give to them. Have you noticed a shift in how people receive your advisement now because of now going so virtual?
Great question. So I think it depends on the business. So I have a lot of folks who are already in the digital virtual space.
Mhm.
So they weren't as reliant on the face-to-face piece, with the exception of meetings.
Mm.
That is going to be probably the piece that's the biggest pivot for my clients that had meetings. It's shifting to, how do we go virtual and how do we make virtual engaging? How do we make virtual entertaining? How do we make virtual not feel so far away? And there are amazing technologies and tools out there. For example, there are virtual reality platforms. You can bring your whole group. They create an avatar and then they show up and you can actually like virtually hug, and you can go to a vendor table and talk to someone, and you can walk around the conference space. Like, there's some really cool technologies out there on what can be done. You can send things to your guests in advance and make cocktail kits or painting kits or whatever it is that you're going to do for the activity. So it's just getting creative, and that's a big piece of it. These weird times that they create innovation, and innovation causes shifts, and sometimes those shifts become those big tech booms and things like that. And I think we're going to see more of that. And I think this year is really going to shine and show up that way.
I fully agree with you. I have had to amplify my very little tech skills. Yeah, I am a liberal arts major. Okay. This is not my forte. This is not my ministry. But what I will say, though, what I like about it is I've been able to reach so many more people because of technology. And I've
Mhm.
had to embrace it. And it is a have to, we have to embrace technology now, because we're not sure how long this is going to be. And
Right.
even after normality comes, whatever that looks like,
Right.
many of us will not want to go back to that type of interaction because of comfort, because of, you've made connections now that are across the country,
Mhm.
and we're not going to fly there, but I can reach you right here. I can talk to you right here. So yeah, I fully agree with you. You have to pivot and make a change and adjust, totally adjust.
Yes.
So before we wrap up, I would love to hear from you your 5 self-care tips that you can give someone who is surviving a health uh, bump,
Challenge.
bump,
A
a
journey.
health challenge. 5 self-care tips for themselves and maybe family members, and also 3 or 4 tips for those businesses who are still struggling on being a leader during this time.
Got it. So when it comes to self-care, the first thing I would say is, this is your opportunity and your time for rest and reset. And it's okay to embrace that. It's okay for you to think about yourself first, if that's what's going to serve you for the day. So leaning into listening to your body and what it needs while you're going through this healing process, while you're going through a day that might feel tougher than the last. Really important. The second one is going to be to fill your mind with good things. So watch comedy, watch old Christmas movies, watch the things that you know. If it's a rom-com, do it. If it's an action flick, go for it. Like, fill your mind with the good things. Turn the news off. Be okay with that. You'll get whatever news is important. Trust me, news travels fast, and you'll get whatever details you really need. And with self-care comes nutrition. It certainly will regenerate your cells and make you feel better. It doesn't mean you just deny yourself the cake. It just means we don't necessarily only eat cake. And surround yourself with people who love you and support you, people who will let you be seen and heard, people who you know you can lean in and cry with, people you can lean in and laugh with, people you can just sit with in silence and know that they understand what you're going through. Sometimes that's found in our family and friends. Sometimes it's found in our communities. So whatever you're going through, there is a community for it. And for some reason, if you can't find one, or if you don't find one you resonate with, then maybe your calling is to create that community. So that's definitely another piece of it. Again, this is what happens. Sometimes communities are birthed out of our own need to find that thing we want for ourselves. I always laugh because shifting to some of the business advice is people often get stuck in imposter syndrome. They're like, well, I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough this. And it's like, look, it's okay to start and it not be perfect. It's never going to be perfect, FYI. So you might as well start and be okay in the imperfection. And I believe almost everyone goes through imposter syndrome, but there is someone you can help. There's always someone that you have more experience from, right? So even if you're saying, oh, well, I am only a one-time business owner and my business only does, I don't know, $100,000 a year. That's more than someone else out there. And they're looking for your information and you have value to add. So let people come and show up in the hot mess that you are, and in the imperfect life that you have, and in all the ways that you have your own traumas and your own junk and your own addictions, whatever those things are, all the skeletons in the closet. It's okay, because whatever value you have, whatever experience you have, that's what people are coming and showing up for. And they're willing to overlook the imperfections, and they're willing to overlook the skeletons in the closet, because people are showing up saying, well, what value can I get from this? And if you can give it to them, then that's what they're showing up for. And that's usually calling in the world.
I mean, that was, listen, mic drop, gems dropped. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time, and I'm honored that you wanted to sit with me. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope I did you some amount of justice. I really want to say we're getting excited about the Asian Women Who Boss Up coming out in March of 2021. Excited about this. It's going to be amazing. You can pre-order. It's going to be on Amazon. Also, we can go to your website, marydee.com, to pre-order the book. Asian Women Who Boss Up, Secrets for Women Who Are Forging Their Own Path and Thriving. That is, if that's not a title enough to make you, I'm real big on titles. If the title doesn't enough make you want to just order the book. And it's a collection of many different stories, not just your own. You're going to not just get Mary's story. You're going to get, I think, 18 other women or 17 other women's, their story of thriving and bossing up and owning their path. And I feel it's not just for Asian women. All women should read this, definitely. And also, where can we find you, Mary? How do we contact you?
You can go right to my website, marydee.com. And if you want to find me on social media, literally all of my handles are the Mary Dee. So I keep it nice and simple. It's so easy to find me.
Right.
Join us on there, Facebook, Instagram. I even throw down a couple fun TikToks once in a while. So,
I'm too old. I'm trying. I don't know what to do with TikTok. I'll leave it for the young children. But no.
I like it as a creative space.
It is interesting. You can get caught up on TikTok, right?
Yes, it's so easy because they're so short, the short little clips. I've gotten some good gardening tips and stuff like that off of there. So I'll take it. And a good laugh.
And a great laugh. Mary, thank you so much for coming on. I really enjoyed our conversation. I want you to know you're a part of my family. You are welcome to come on anytime. I mean, when Just Eat the Cake comes out, because I'll be ordering Just Eat the Cake, and I need you to come on so we can talk about Just Eat the Cake and your journey into writing that book individually. So you are definitely welcome to come anytime. Thank you so very much. I will make sure all your information in our description. Everyone, please follow Mary at Mary themarydee.com, on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Honey, she's on TikTok. So please follow her, get her books that are coming out. Thank you so much, Mary. It's been an honor to have you on.
I appreciate you so much, Earlene, and thank you for what you're doing in the world and for using your voice.
Thank you.